Hi guys, Nikki from Royal Home Finders here again. I'm here today to talk to you about how you get started in property or how you get on the property ladder when you feel that you've got no money available to you, or you feel like you've got small cash flow and you can't raise that 10% deposit to purchase a property. So how do you do that? Well, actually you can purchase a property with just over £2,000, and we have one of these properties at the moment on the market. How do you do that? So what we do is something called shared ownership. Now, shared ownership, a lot of people don't really understand the concept, they don't really understand how it works, they don't really understand how it makes you move forward, because obviously you don't own 100% of the property. So shared ownership, you basically buy a percentage of the property. So for example, the property we've got on the market at the moment is 25% of the property value. That means that the property has been valued at 170,000, which means that the 25% of that share is 42,500, which means your deposit, you only need just over £2,000, because you only need 5% deposit on a shared ownership rather than the 10% deposit that you need on a normal mortgage on a Help to Buy scheme. So it means it reduces down your deposit. But what's the other benefits of buying in a shared ownership? Yes, you may not own 100% of the property, but there are other benefits. So the other 75% of that property, for example, you pay rent on. So you pay the rent on that of the 75% to the council, or the people that own the other 75% of the property. So in this case, it's not actually the council, it's another company that owns the 75% of that property. Now, you can obviously speak to them as well if you've got a bit more money than that and you want to buy 50% of the property or 75% of the property. You can speak to them as well and say, I would like to purchase a bit more. That means it cuts down your rental that you have to pay out to that company. Now, the benefit of obviously doing this is the amount of rental that you pay versus the amount of money that you pay on a mortgage normally works out to be cheaper than if you were to rent that property. So for example, this property we've got on at the market at the moment, if you were to rent that direct from a landlord or an agent, it would be £795 to £850 per calendar month. Now, if you were to buy that property, or that 25% share, 5% that you would take as a mortgage, at the moment with interest rates as they are, obviously it depends on what package you go for, what mortgage option you go for, whether you go for whether you go for a repayment mortgage, whether you go for an interest-only mortgage, but there's certain criteria on interest-only mortgages now, so you may not feel that. How long you take over the term, etc, etc. But roughly at the moment, if you were to take out a mortgage on that amount of the 25% of the property, it'd work out just over £250 or below per month. And then the other 75% rental that you would then have to pay to the company, Stonewater is the company that actually have this property, they would be looking at £394 per month on your rental on this one. So if you take your £394 and you take your roughly £250 per month, that works out about £650 a month that you would be paying out. Now, as I said, if you were renting this property, then you'd be renting it at £795 roughly a month. So you are saving, in effect, roughly £150 a month. You are better off than if you were to rent that property. Now, the other thing behind it is it gets you on the property ladder. So you are then continually building capital growth in that property. So your capital growth is continually upping. So if you decide then to sell that property in 5 years, whatever that property has grown by, your 25% will also increase. So it's not dead money as such, because obviously renting a property is brilliant in the short term, and if you don't have even the £2,000 deposit, it's fantastic. If you are looking at getting yourself somewhere on the ladder without just paying dead money out for 2-3 years, then obviously a shared ownership option is really good, because it gets you on the property ladder. It gets you on the property ladder fast, and also for a small fee, and it also means you're gaining that capital growth, and it's costing you less than if you were to rent that property. Don't get me wrong, there are disadvantages, like you do have to maintain the property yourself, so you can't just ring at the landlord and go, this has happened. because it doesn't work like that with shared ownership. You become responsible. You can also personalise the property to how you want it to be personalised as well. You can paint, you can change the walls, you can have your own personal mark and stamp onto it, which a lot of properties in the rental aspect you can't do. There's a few things to bear in mind if you are thinking about getting onto the property ladder and you want to get started, you want to buy your first home, you want to invest in property. Bear in mind that shared ownership properties, most of them, you cannot rent these out, okay? So you can't buy them as an investment purchase and buy it on a buy-to-let mortgage or buy it and rent it out, because most of them are not available for that. Shared ownership needs for people that cannot afford to buy a home, or they are first time buyers, so it's not available to everyone as well, the shared ownership schemes. You also have to have a certain amount of money that you earn up to that you can apply to get onto the shared ownership scheme. But it is a great way to get started in property and get yourself on that ladder, even if it's only, as I said, for the next 2, 3, 4 years. And build up that capital growth and investment, so you're continually earning interest on your money instead of it sitting in the bank and earning 0.25% or whatever your bank is giving at the moment. And you're also getting yourself out there, because once you're on that ladder, it's easier to move forward and grow. It's a lot harder to get yourself on the ladder. Once you're on it, it's easier. So it's a really good way to get yourself out there, get yourself on the ladder, and only with £2,000. So maybe it's something you need to look into. It's a shared ownership option. We have this property at the moment, 25%, £2,000, 2-bedroom apartment in the centre of Stratford. I will ping up some images in a second just to show you the space that you get with the property. So it's a 2-bedroom apartment in Stratford. It's got parking, 2 double bedrooms as well, one with an ensuite, one with another bathroom. So it's a really good sized space. You can see the images now. So that's the 2-bedroom apartment we have on. Don't get me wrong, there are other shared ownership options out there. If you are looking for something different, or you need some help or advice, or you're looking at the shared ownership but you don't know which way to go, or you'd like to buy a shared ownership with more than 25%, then obviously always give me a call. As I say, I'm always here for help, advice, or any guidance on any of your property needs. But there's a little tip of the day on how to get yourself on the property market with just £2,000. If you need any help, advice, or guidance, get me on the numbers below. Otherwise, I'll see you next time for more property advice. Thank you. Bye bye.